happy to welcome Tali Spencer to the podcast as part of the official 2016 GRL blog tour. Tali delights in erotic fantasy and adventure, creating worlds where she can explore the heights and shadows of sexual passion. A hopeful romantic and lover of all things exotic, she also writes high fantasy and science fiction. Thanks to a restless father, she grew up as a bit of a nomad and still loves to travel whenever she can. Her longest stint in one place was Milwaukee, where she went to college, enjoyed a series of interesting careers, and raised 3 surprisingly well-adjusted sons. She later married her true love and put down roots in Philadelphia. And when not writing, Tali reads everything from sweet, goofy romances to medical research, manages her fantasy football team, and takes long walks with her loving, if slightly neurotic poodle. Thanks for being with us, Tali.
Nice to be here, Jeff.
So let's talk about your latest book, Victory Portrait, which is part of the Pride of Utor series. Tell us about the series and this new book.
The Pride of Utor series is one I wrote that has both male-female and male-male pairings. It follows a family, so I'm following these different brothers and sisters as they find love and also cope with the fact that they're captives of the Utor Empire and the Emperor. So it's a really interesting series to me. I like exploring all of the dynamics that go with having these different types of pairings. And I really find it fascinating to delve into the politics of it all and also the sexuality of it all, because we have one brother who's discovering that he's gay. He wasn't really sure, but he does discover this. And he has a real hard time coping with it because his father is very homophobic and a very controlling, abusive man. I also have a sister who had to escape from out from under that father, and she has a male-female relationship. And then we have the brother who always knew he was gay, but he has a hero worship for one of his captors, the Utoran general, and that's the book of Victory Portrait, this youngest gay son who suffered a lot of abuse from the father, and that's one reason why he's not so much of a captive as the others is he got taken, basically adopted by the emperor. But he has this hero worship for this great general who conquered their country. And I really enjoyed going into that one because hero worship is such a cool thing to deal with.
How did you come up with your idea for Victory Portrait?
It was actually the very first book in the Utor series. This is weird. I mean, it's the 4th book published, but it was the first story in the series, and the rest of the series all grew out of it. I was thinking about an artist. I thought that would be cool because they have models who are naked. And then I thought, well, what if the artist used semen to paint with? Because that would be really interesting. And that would also provide a way to be very erotic. It was written as an erotic short story. And, the general is posing for the portrait, and he's watching the artist stimulate the young man. And I thought that would be really cool to write about, so I did. And then as I had to do research to make sure that you could even use semen in painting, and it turns out, yes, that's a thing. Some very famous artists have done it. Marcel Duchamp has a picture that's basically a jizz splotch. He painted it back in like 1930 or 40, and they only discovered in the 1980s when they did some tests that, yep, there's some semen in there. And Mario Castillo, the Mexican artist, also does this, and he's written extensively about why. It's like infusing the essence of life into his art. So I thought, okay, I've got something here I can run with. I can run with this artist and the Victory Portrait thing. So I expanded the short story years later into the full novel.
And I guess that proves, truth is stranger than fiction sometimes, because you actually had to go research, could this work? And then you find out that, in fact, it has worked for years, decades.
People have done it. They don't have much historic proof because nobody knows exactly what Michelangelo was doing back then. But yeah, they've done it. You're right. Life is stranger than fiction. You can't make some of this stuff up because it's already been done.
For books that sound as complicated as these, are you more of a plotter or a pantser to do this writing?
I'm totally a pantser, which sometimes works to my disadvantage, I know. But if I get an idea, I run with that thing. And I really like to follow the characters. They create the conflict, they create the tension, they create the romance, and I like to follow them as they go through it. That's not to say don't have an outline sometimes of where it's going to eventually go, but I often end up following like, oh, this works better. I'm going to go with this thing. And that happens all the time in my books. I just like to tell stories. And sometimes as the story unfolds, it tells itself.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned that there's male-male and male-female pairings in the books. Are they separated like you tell one person's story in one book, or do the pairings flow throughout the each of the books themselves?
Each pairing has its own book. I'm cognizant of the reader. Not every reader is going to want to read both pairings. There are many who do, but many just want to read male, or they just want to read male, female. And they don't want the other ones interfering. So I did separate them out by books. There is an overarching story that I believe if a reader reads all of them, they get a more complete version of the story. But just reading any one of the books it's supposed to be standalone. Mm-hmm. I wrote it that way. There's a complete, background. But you will meet the other characters in each of the other books. Sure. They still continue to exist in that universe.
Yeah, this seems to be, from what I've seen, a growing trend where series will have the mixture of pairings and everybody kind of gets their own book along the way.
I learned that from writing male-male romance, because I originally started writing as a science fiction and fantasy writer. I still do. And in that venue, you just wrote all of them. If a person was gay and they fell in love with a guy, you just wrote that into the book. If they were heterosexual and they fell in love with their opposite, you wrote that into the book. And you didn't separate out stories. Think in terms of Game of Thrones. You just wrote the whole thing. And then when I came to write in male-male romance, I saw that readers were demanding that characters get their own books. This is a very popular thing. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe I should do that. Mm-hmm. So I did.
How'd you get your start in writing?
Well, I originally started telling stories to my sister. We had to share, we had a very small house with a large family, so we shared a bedroom and a double bed, and I'd just tell her stories. And I'd continue telling her stories as we walked to school during the day. And it got to the point when I was about 13 where I started writing these things down. And I had a teacher in El Paso, where I lived at the time, who said, oh, you should become a writer. And I'm like, maybe I should, because before that I wanted to be a brain surgeon. So I thought, well, let's see what happens. And as I started writing stories down, I started really just enjoying the creation of stories on the page. And so I started writing very young. I was first published when I was in my mid-20s, which was a long time ago, sad to say. But I just have loved writing ever since I was young. And I started out, and then my sister dared me to send one of my stories in when I was about 25 or 6. And I sent it in, and lo and behold, they published it. So.
And how did you find your way to gay romance?
Oh, well, see, my first books were mass market. Paperbacks. But then I took a break because it's hard to support yourself as a writer. It's hard to pay the mortgage and the insurance and the bills. So when I got a divorce and I needed to support myself and my kids, I couldn't do it with my writing. So I stopped publishing for a while. I never stopped writing, but I definitely stopped publishing. I was even ordered by the judge in the divorce to stop publishing because I needed a real job. So then I started doing my real jobs. And when I started wanting to publish again, I'd always liked the gay stories that I'd written. But I thought, well, is there any way, can I write it? I'm not gay. Can I write it in a way that people will want to read? So I did put some stories up on a free site just to test this out. And it turned out they did want to read them. Victory Portrait was one of those stories. And so when I found out they did want to read them, I thought, well, let's see if I can publish anything in this genre. I really like writing it. Let's see if there's interest and if people will publish it. So I submitted a story to Dream Spinner, and they did take it. And I've been doing gay romance ever since.
That's awesome. So what's coming up next for you?
I have a story I'm writing, a novella, for Dream Spinner's States of Love anthology. And this is where each story will focus on a state. And I spend a lot of time in Wisconsin. I love Wisconsin to death, even though I no longer live there. So I adopted Wisconsin and said, I'll write a story. So it's an ice fishing story, hot love and an ice shanty. It's going to be fun. Trust me. I do write fun stuff sometimes. Thick as Thieves is a great book, and it's very fun. This will be fun, kind of like that, because you can just imagine some of the fun you can have in an ice shanty. Or if you can't, you can read the book.
It seems very cold.
They're not as cold as you think. They have heaters in there. They have televisions in there. Ice shanties can be remarkably cozy.
But that's excellent. You're a States of Love author. I'm working on one, too. I've got Michigan.
Yay, Michigan! We're neighbors.
Yes, we are.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I look forward to reading yours.
I look forward to reading yours. We love Michigan.
I put mine on Mackinac Island. So sitting up there in the middle of the lakes.
Yeah, literally in Lake Winnebago, which is a very big lake. So yeah, you're sitting out there on the ice. Your truck is parked beside your shanty because the ice is 30 inches thick, and you dig a hole in the ice and you get some fish.
And apparently you find a boyfriend too, maybe.
Oh, yeah. This guy does. My hero Maddie does. He finds a boyfriend. Shows up at his door in the middle of a ground blizzard and says, my shanty. He had a portable ice shanty, a tent, and it blew away.
Uh-oh.
But Maddie has one that's like wood and heavy, and it's still there. So he shows up at the door and says, I'm cold. Can I come in?
That's an excellent cute meet. I like that. So what are you looking forward to in Kansas City?
Oh, I'm looking forward to meeting friends that I have already met and also friends I haven't met. I'm very shy. I know it sounds strange. I'm very shy, but I love meeting people and I love talking to them. And although I may not always approach people, if they ever approach me, it's like, thank you. And I just love talking with them. I'm also looking forward to meeting one of my very good friends who I've never met before, a fellow author, M.A. Church. We talk weekly on the phone. We talk all the time, and I haven't ever met her in person. So this should be very interesting.
Oh, that's exciting.
And some other authors, too, that I know will be there that I have never met in person. And I've talked to them in social media. And a couple of readers, too. So I just like meeting the people.
Is this your first GRL, or is it a return visit for you?
It's a second one. I was in Atlanta. I really enjoyed that one. That was my first one. It was a lot of fun. It was somewhat overwhelming and intimidating. But again, I met so many great people and some fans, and I got to give away some special things to some of the fans. I just loved doing that, and it was so much fun that I'm looking forward to doing it again. I'll be a featured author this time. And I'm not sure what I'll get to sign up for because every time, people tend to put these sign-ups on the weekend, and on the weekend I have no access. All I have is an iPad, and it won't let me sign on to anything.
Oh, no.
So I have to sign on Mondays, and I find out what's left. So I'll either have a question and answer or I'll have a reading. I would love to do a reading. I love reading my work out loud. Mm-hmm. I've done that at conventions in the past, science fiction conventions.
The readings are fun, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's the best way for people to keep up with you?
Well, the very best way is probably Facebook because I spend more time there than I do on Twitter, which I find rather confusing. Although I do tweet, and if people tweet to me, I'll tweet back. I've never really warmed to Twitter as much, but you can get me there. I'm at Tali_Spencer at Twitter. At Facebook, I'm Tali Spencer, Tali Spencer at Facebook. So I'm easiest to find there. I also have a blog that people can find, Tali Spencer's Brilliant Disguise. I occasionally put up free stories, excerpts, and announcements there. And of course, I always answer my email, which is tali.spencer1. I had to get the number 1 at gmail.com.
All right. We'll link up to all that stuff in the show notes so that people can find you.
Oh, good. Put my Pinterest in there, too, because I always like to put pictures up for my stories that I'm researching. So some of those pictures are interesting.
All right. We'll do that, too. Well, we look forward to meeting you in Kansas City, and we thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much, Jeff. I've had fun. This is great. I'm looking forward to meeting lots of people, you especially, in Kansas City.